A very good morning to all of you dear students. Welcome to all of you to today's English class. Today in this class we are going to read a poem Daffodils, which is written by William Wordsworth. And let me tell you one thing regarding William Wordsworth. He was one of the greatest poet of nature, okay, and he belongs to romantic age. It means what? Romantic age means the poet were completely focusing their writing on the natural object. So here the poet William Wordsworth has taken one natural object, daffodil. Daffodil is a flower. So here let me tell you one thing, that William Wordsworth has taken birth in the year 1770 and died in the year 1850, and he is one of the major poet of his time. And William Wordsworth has given one opinion on poem, and what is that? That is, poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings which is collected in tranquility. Poetry is a spontaneous overflow. Spontaneous means what? Natural. Overflow means more than enough. Okay. Spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. Feelings that are recollected in tranquility. Tranquility means calm and quiet atmosphere. Calm and quietness. Because by sitting in the mid of the market, you can't write down a poem. So for that reason you need calm and quiet atmosphere. So Wordsworth has spoken that poetry is nothing. It is only the collection, recollection of powerful feeling which is being collected in calm and quiet atmosphere. Okay. So here in this poem we are going to focus completely on a flower. And here a single flower is not mentioned, a host of flowers is mentioned. Okay. So now let's start the poem. I wanted. Here the poet himself is the speaker. Okay. Means the poet is the hero of his poem. I wandered lonely. Wandered means what? Moving. So here wandered means moving. Lonely means alone. He was not having any companion. He was moving here and there alone as a cloud. Let me tell you one thing. There are some poetic devices used in poem, in this particular poem. And what are they? In some places simile is used. In some places hyperbole is also used. Okay. So here I wandered lonely as a cloud, and this one is simile. Simile metaphor, two things are there. And simile is used when there is a comparison in between two completely different things, and that comparison is being indicated by the word as or like. So here the poet has compared himself with a piece of cloud. Now tell me, what is the reason behind it? Why did the poet compare himself with the inanimate thing just like cloud? Look, what is the special characteristic of cloud? Cloud moves in the sky aimlessly, without any particular direction, without any particular destination. Likewise, the poet was also moving here and there without any particular aim. He was just moving for the sake of moving. He was not having any other intention. Just he was moving. That's why the poet was moving aimlessly. That's why he compared himself with a piece of cloud that floats on high, OER, this is over, okay, over vales and hills, valleys and hill. And which cloud? The cloud that moves aimlessly above the valley, above the hills, just like that cloud. He was also moving aimlessly somewhere, okay. When all at once means what? Suddenly. And when the poet was moving aimlessly just like a piece of cloud, suddenly what did happen? I saw, I means not I, poet, okay. I saw a crowd. Normally you are speaking, there is much crowd. It is referring to humans. But here crowd is referring to the flowers, okay, the gathering of flowers. But here the flowers are not gathered, but the flowers were blossomed there. When at once I saw a crowd, and when the poet was moving aimlessly across the hills and across the valleys, suddenly he noticed a crowd of a host means a group of golden daffodils. And here the color of daffodil is being mentioned. You also can search it. The daffodils are just like a funnel shape, okay, funnel shape golden yellowish flower. It is not found in India, it is found particularly in England. So here it is mentioned, so in this first 4 line what is emphasized? It is emphasized that the poet was moving aimlessly just like a piece of cloud that moves over the hills and valleys aimlessly, and when he was moving at that time, suddenly he saw a host, means a group of golden daffodils. Now tell me one thing, whenever you might be thinking, how did the poet see a host of golden daffodils? Suppose you are a latecomer for the class, and when you entered into the class, you means all the students are already present. When you are entering into the class, will you see a single student present in the classroom? No, you can see a number of students are sitting. So in our vision, we can see a number of things at a time. Even when we can focus on one only, still we can see a number of things. So likewise, when the poet was moving, when the poet suddenly saw, he saw a group of daffodils were there beside the lake, beneath the tree, and it is mentioned beside the lake, where were the flowers? The flowers were beside the lake, beneath the trees, beneath, under means vertically below, beneath means lower in surface, okay. So beside the lake, beneath the tree, and where were the flowers? The flowers were beside the lake and beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. But at the same time, what were the flowers doing? The flowers were fluttering. Fluttering means what? Look, this is fluttering, moving, shaking, quivering, okay, quiver, shake, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Can the flower dance? Definitely not. He is a poet. That's why he has mentioned that the flowers were dancing. Look, when the flowers were dancing like this, you can see, suppose these are 2 flowers, okay. When the flowers are moving in the breeze, breeze means wind, they can touch each other's head, okay. The flower is being mentioned as a head here. So they can touch each other's head, and that one is being mentioned here, that the flowers are fluttering means quivering, shaking. And dancing in the breeze. Breeze means wind. And what were the flowers doing? The flowers are moving, as well as the flowers were also dancing in the breeze, in the windfall. Wind was blowing and the flowers were dancing, and they were also shaking their body completely. Continuous as the stars that shine. Continuous. Who are continuous? Continuous means it was ongoing process. It was going on. Okay. Large number of flowers are there. As the stars. Once again, earth is mentioned. It means what? Once again, in the first case, the poet did compare himself with a piece of cloud. Simile. This is the second simile. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. Milky Way means what? Galaxy. Okay. So here, once again, the poet has compared the flowers with the twinkling stars in the Milky Way. Why? What is the reason? I will speak. Continuous as the stars that shine. There are 2 qualities of star. First one is the stars twinkle in the sky. Second one is, it is countless. We can't count the stars in the sky. Likewise, the poet has spoken. The daffodils were shining in the bright sunlight. At the same time, it was numberless, means he was unable to count it. Why? How can the daffodils shine like stars? Look, here the poet has mentioned what's the color of the daffodil. It's golden color. Normally, when the sun ray fall on the petals of the flower, it can give an impression of shining flowers. For example, in the river, whenever sunlight is there, sunlight is falling on the river water, the water also shines. Likewise, the daffodils are shining. Actually, it was not shining. It is only the expression of the poet. Okay, because he is a poet, he can give color, he can give ornaments, he can give a lots of feelings to the flower. So the poet has mentioned that the daffodils were shining in the Milky Way, and stars. The daffodils are not shining in the Milky Way. Here, it is being compared that as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, the stars are shining in the Milky Way. And why this Milky Way is mentioned? Normally in the Milky Way, in the galaxy, number of stars are there. Likewise, the poet has mentioned that the daffodils are just like the stars. As the stars shine in the Milky Way, the daffodils are also shining just like a Milky Way. Okay, it means a number of daffodils are present on the earth. At the same time, it is referring to the shining quality of the daffodils as well as its numberlessness, means limitlessness. He was unable to count the number of daffodils. They stretch in never ending line whenever you are going to sea beach, Gopalpur or Puri, whenever you are going. Can you see that there is a boundary line of the sea? Can you see? No, you can't see. You can see that when the ship is going, it is completely invisible. You can see in the horizon. Yes or no? So, likewise it is mentioned, they stretch in never ending line. Wherever the poet was looking, he was able to see the flowers only. Nothing else was there. Because he was a poet. His mind was completely filled with the vision of the flower. So, it is mentioned, they stretch. They means so. They is referring to the daffodils. They stretch. Stretch means they are completely spreaded in never ending line, and they are spreaded in such a way that the line is never ever ending. It was a never ending line. It was not, there is no end to the line. Understood? This one is being mentioned here. Along the margin of a bay, bay means sea, but here it is referring to lake only, because near the sea we can't get, only sands are there, we can't get the flowers. At the margin, margin means what? Borderline. Okay? Bank of a lake. Along the margin of a bay. And where were the daffodils? The daffodils were bloomed along the margin of a bay, along the border of a lake. There were daffodils. 10,000 I saw at a glance. At a glance means what? In a single sight. And here the poet is speaking that at a glance means in a single sight. Okay, it means what? Look. The poet was walking, look at me, the poet was walking. Suddenly when he saw the flowers, and he realized that he must have seen not less than 10,000 flowers in a single sight. Understood now? 10,000 I saw at a glance means in a single sight he must have seen 10,000 flowers. Tossing, as I told, touching their heads in sprightly dance. And what were the daffodils doing? Here the poet is speaking that the daffodils were dancing, and how they were dancing? They are dancing sprightly, not the cold drinks. Okay? And the sprightly means lively. Here it means lively, and tossing means moving. Moving and touching. So, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. So, the daffodils were tossing, touching each other's hand in lively dance. Okay? It means the daffodils were dancing happily. The waves beside them dance. Now you can ask me, where are the waves? If sea is not there, in lake also you can get the small wavelets like that. The waves beside them danced, and there were so small wavelets beside the daffodils. They were also dancing, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. So here they means so. They means daffodils. Daffodils. Okay, outdid means what? Surpass or defeat. Sparkling waves in glee means happiness. Okay, try to understand what is written. The waves beside them dance means here the poet has spoken that there is a comparison in between the dancing of the daffodil and the dancing of the waves. Means the waves were also dancing beside them, but they means daffodils outdid, surpass, defeat the sparkling waves in glee. Now you can say how the waves are sparkling. I told you previously that when the sunlight is falling on water, it gives twinkling expression, it shines. So that one is being mentioned here. The sparkling waves in glee means happily, but the daffodils were dancing. The waves are also dancing, but if there will be a comparison in between the dancing of the daffodil and the dancing of the waves, then definitely the dancing of daffodil is going to win and the dancing of waves is going to defeat, because the daffodils can pass, the daffodil can win over the dancing of the waves. A poet could not but be gay. What does it mean? Gay means you are happy. A poet could do nothing because he was a poet. Apart from this, he was a nature poet. He was belonging to romantic age, And he has mentioned a poet could do nothing, but he can do only one thing, that one he can be extremely happy. In such a jocund company, jocund means what? Happy. You must be having some friends with whom you wish to go for shopping, you wish to go for movie, and you must be having some other friends with whose company you don't like. So likewise, the poet was very happy in the company of the daffodil. Though daffodils were not humans, but still he was very happy when he was along with the daffodils. I gaze. Gaze means what? Look. Constant look. Okay? Gaze. I gaze and gaze, but little thought. See what is written. It is mentioned little. Okay? Quantifier. So what is the basic difference in between little and a little? Little and a little. Okay? Whenever you are writing a little, it is referring to some positive meaning. But if you are writing little, it is referring to some negative meaning. Little means almost nothing present. A little means something present is there. Okay? So here it is mentioned, I gaze and gaze, but little thought. And the poet has mentioned that I gaze, I only looked and looked. But little thought means almost no thought was there, means his brain was blank. Whose brain was blank? The poet's brain was completely blank, and he was unable to think anything else because he was completely involved in the beautiful sight of the golden daffodil. He was only gazing, he was only looking at the daffodil because the daffodil has captured his heart and brain completely. What wealth the soul to me had brought. The soul means what? The soul is referring to the beautiful sight of the dancing golden daffodil. And then the poet is thinking, listen, let me tell you one thing. This poem is being written off the field. Off the field means what? When the poet was not moving there. Okay? Because common thing, when the poet was moving, he might not be moving with pen and paper that he could jot down all the feeling that is coming to his mind. So definitely it is mentioned, what wealth the soul to me had brought. And later he was thinking that he was gazing at the daffodil so happily that he forgot that what is the property, what is the money, or what is the wealth which is being brought to him by the beautiful sight of the golden daffodil, because he was completely involved in this sight. Got my point? This is what written here. Understood this one? Then the next one, so up to this much it is mentioned that the poet was completely involved in watching the beautiful sight of the golden daffodils. Next it is written, for oft. Oft means what? Often, time to time, again and again. Oft means often. For oft, when on my couch I lie, and here, look, from this line it is quite clear that the poet has written this poem of the field. For oft means often, when on my couch I lie means whenever he is laying down on his bed at home. So definitely this poem is being written after he did return to his home in vacant or in pensive mood. And here two moods of the poet is being mentioned. One is your vacant mood. Vacant means no thought, completely blank. Okay, it means no thought, blank mood. Pensive means thoughtful, means some thinking, some thoughts are there present in the brain. So the poet has mentioned two moods here. One is the vacant mood and the one is the pensive mood. So the poet has mentioned whenever he is in his house, either he is in vacant mood or in pensive mood, they flash. Flash means what? Come to mind. They is referring to the daffodils, to the flowers. The flowers open their inward eye. What do you mean by inward eye? This is very easy to understand. Look, by closing your eyes, suppose think that you are traveling to Puri or you are traveling to somewhere and you have seen something big. Okay? And by closing your eyes, you can picturize all those things. By closing your eyes, you also can see Lord Jagannath, Balabhadra and Subhadra. And how? Physically you are not present there. That is, you could see them by your mind's eye. eyes of your heart, which is not visible. This is our physical eyes of heart. By closing your eyes means not by sleeping. By closing your eyes, you can also think on someone. Understood my point? So that one is known as the inward eye, the heart's eye of heart, eye of mind and heart. So this is not referring to your physical eyes. Okay, now I close my eyes, nothing is visible in front of me. But when I close my eyes, if I can see, this is cell phone is there and I have written all these things, I can see it by my inward eye. They flash upon that inward eye. So when the poet is sleeping on his bed, either he is in the vacant mood or in the pensive mood, the beautiful sight of the golden daffodils flashes before his mind's eye, which is the bliss of solitude. What do you mean by bliss of solitude? Bliss means blessing. Solitude means loneliness. Blessing, solitude means loneliness. And here bliss of solitude is referring to the supreme delight that comes out of loneliness. Means even when he was alone, there was no one, but still he was extremely happy. His mind was delightful. That one is known as the bliss of solitude. Understood the point? So here the poet has spoken that the beautiful sight of the golden daffodil is being regarded as bliss of solitude, because he was getting supreme delight even when he was alone. And then my heart with pleasure fills. So many times you must have seen, whenever you are in a wedding procession, even when you are not dancing, you just shake your body like this. Yes or no? Physically you are not dancing. At that time, unknowingly you are shaking your body, or you are shaking your hands, and you are shaking your leg. You are just thumping your feet against the ground. What does it mean? At that time your heart is dancing. You want to do the same dance. Okay? This is your earnest desire. So here it is mentioned. And then my heart with pleasure fills. And at that time his heart fills with pleasure. Pleasure is referring to happiness. And his heart is being filled with extreme happiness, and dances with the daffodil. And physically he was not dancing, but by closing his eyes or by sitting, by thinking on the daffodil, he could see the daffodils are dancing and he is also dancing like anything in the field. Sometimes whenever you are watching a dance song, you are also picturizing yourself there, but can you do those steps properly? Even when you can't do, still you picturize yourself. Likewise, the poet was also picturizing himself, and he was feeling his heart was dancing. His body was not dancing. His heart was extremely happy and it was dancing along with the daffodils. Understood the poem? Okay. Now, let us discuss what are the poetic devices used in this poem. One is your simile and hyperbole and personification. These are the three things used. Simile means what? Comparison in between two different things indicated by the word like or edge. That is simile. The poet compared himself with clouds, and then the poet compared the daffodil with the stars. That one is simile. In simile, poet compared himself with clouds and he compared the daffodils with stars. That one is simile. And what do you mean by hyperbole? Hyperbole means something which is being exaggerated. Okay, in reality it is present or not, it is not mentioned, but that was it being described more, exaggeration, more than enough described. So where is the hyperbole? First one is, when all at once I saw a crowd. This one is in line number 3, it is mentioned, when all at once I saw a crowd, because crowd means what? Large number. And here the poet has compared, the poet has told that he has seen the daffodils in large number. That one is a hyperbole. Then they stretch in never ending line. Practically think, is not there the end of the daffodil? Definitely it's there, but the poet has described that there is no ending of the daffodil. That one is also hyperbole. And then 10,000 I saw at a glance is also hyperbole, because it is practically not possible for the poet to see all the 10,000 flowers. It is his own imagination. It is his own prediction that he must have seen 10,000 flowers in a single sight. Okay, this is his hyperbole. Who can say the poet might have seen 200 flowers only? It is not mentioned. We are not present at that time that we could count. So, this one is also the hyperbole. Then, personification is what? Human characteristics. Human characters are being personified. And here, crowd. Crowd is what? See, in line number 3 and 4, it is mentioned crowd and host. Crowd. There is too much crowd. We are referring it to, normally we are referring it to human beings. Yes or no? And here the flowers are being told as crowd. That's why it is being personified as humans. Okay. So, these are the 3 things used in this poem. Simile, hyperbole and personification. With this, your poem is over. Any doubt that you have, you just call me. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice time.